Welcome back, human schools and mutated fools. My name is Mara. You're on the channel Beware Mutated Zombies, and I'm a mutated zombie. Today, we should be finishing up with Rumple's storyline in Cinderella Phenomenon. If I manage to get the good ending, I'm leaving it there. I would be happy. But if I get the bad ending, then we're gonna speed demon through just like we did with her karma. I'm pretty sure that's what we're gonna do. Did I Google? I did not Google. But my phone is here, which I should probably turn down. Boop, boop. Okay. So let's go ahead and get on our way and see what ending we get. And hopefully it's a good ending. Fingers crossed. I want happiness! Alright. Today I'm outside by myself. I think if Parfait or Delora knew, they would do worse than scold me. I shuffle uncomfortably as I sit at the little cafe Bria told me to wait for her at. A part of me is already convinced that she will not come. When I wrote her that letter asking for Rumple's journals, and she responded so easily, I was a little suspicious, but this is really the only chance I have. The only chance you'll have at what? Bria appears in front of me, not looking altogether unpleased, but still not smiling. Nothing. I do not like her, but I will have to play nice if I want to get Rumple's journals back. I don't like her either. She's a bitch. Thank you for meeting me out here. Bria takes a seat in front of me, her expression still flat. You asked me in your letter why I was refusing to speak to Rumple, and then you told me you wanted to meet with me to find out why. You want the journals too, don't you? She reaches into a bag and pulls out a few journals that I assume are Rumple's. So she does have them. I know in your eyes I must seem the villain, but I'm not the only one at fault in this relationship. Okay. Years ago when I met Rumple, he as he is now. Okay. So he seems fine. Flirtatious, charming, over the top, and yet his compliments still made my heart sore. His compliments may be shallow, but Rumple is far from it. I pined after him for years. He was learning medicine, and I was studying to take over my mother's sewing shop. Did it freeze? Oh, it froze. Yep. Okay, I'll just wait here. Alright. In the first few years that I knew him, Rumple always complimented my work. Even though it was nothing special, he insisted we do trade-offs. When we started dating, he would offer me flowers and trinkets, and in exchange I would sew him some article of clothing. I can see he's still wearing the scarf that I made him. That scarf was from Bria? We fell in love. Rumple became a changed man, more serious. He became a doctor, and I opened up a shop. We were supposed to have a fairy tale ending, but her expression falls again as she looks absently down at the table. We saw in each other ideals that didn't exist. Love can be shallow, or it can be deep. I felt our love was deep, but in truth, I only ever knew the surface of Rumple. The surface? I saw his kindness, his charm, and his drive to do what was right. But then, as time went on, I still saw what that meant. The world is a place where only the strong survive. People are kind, but they will take advantage of those who are too caring. Those sound like Mother's words. I shudder as I think about Mother's pessimism, the same kind that lies in me. It is a realistic way of looking at the world, but it is also so dismal and cloudy that it is impossible to see any light within it. Rumple helped a lot of people. Many of them were wonderful people, and I was always happy to see him do so much. But then he started putting other people above himself, and because we lived together, that meant me as well. Maybe it sounds petty to you, but no woman wants to live in poverty. I look at her skeptically. In the back of my mind, I remember the convenience of luxury, of so much money. I then recall the feeling of living poor on the streets and flinch. Wait, but you have your own shop too, and you don't look like you're poor. Like, did you just want more money than what you had? It doesn't sound like you were going to be living in poverty. I have questions. We had a house and we had a reputation. But Rumple refused money most of the time. He helped lots of poor people, but he also dried out our wallets. You had a house, but it sounds like you care more about the reputation. Whenever I brought it up to him, he would smile as if that could just get rid of all of our problems. He made a name for himself as a doctor who helped the poor for minimal money, sometimes for free. And even when I told him we needed more money, he put other people first. What did you need the money for, though? 'Cause I really doubt that you guys were poor. He was so selfless that he became selfish. And I told him before that he should have accepted money, that he needed it. So selfless, he became selfish. I had to go behind his back and find payment. What I was making wasn't enough. So I went to find his patients and tried to ask for payment. I became almost like a beggar. Why would you go to the patients and ask for payment? Like, what? Maybe you should have been like, let's have a sliding fee scale or something. Can you imagine my humiliation? Rumple put his patients before Bria. I was convinced he didn't love me, and my love dwindled for him. Our relationship became strained. Bria goes on to explain the events that happened between her and the nobleman. He was one of Rumple's patients, and when she went to him to ask for money he had originally offered, the two of them became intimate. But it was short-lived, and when the nobleman left her behind, Bria had to deal with a soured reputation. I wanted to make up to Rumple. I thought I could salvage this relationship, maybe even start over and teach him what was right, but that is not my place. She sighs deeply and then gestures at me. I share blame in all of this too, but so does Rumple. That's why I've decided to let this all go. Whatever he does now, you'll have to deal with, because you're his partner, right? Bria hands me the bag of journals. Don't look so surprised. You came here for these, not to listen to me. I thought on it last night, and I have no reason to keep them around when they'll just continue making me bitter. I'll have to rely on myself for a while, but that's fine. Sometimes it's easier to keep to yourself than to trust others. She moves to stand up, but I surprise myself by reaching out to grab her hand. Bria, I don't need your pity. I thought the same thing. What? I still think the same thing. It is so much easier to close the world off. It is so much easier to trust no one but yourself, but it should also be a balance. That is what Rumple has taught me. And I want to teach him how to have balance too. You? You're falling for his kindness the same way I did. You fell in love with him, even though you told yourself he was shallow and unrealistic. My heart thumps once, loudly in my chest. Love? I can read it right off your face. I know how it feels too, but don't get wrapped up in an idea, little girl. This is my warning. If you can help him, actually help him, then you're meant to be together. But otherwise, trusting Rumple might only break your heart. I'm not a little girl. I know how to be realistic. I mean, you're not an adult yet, technically. My words trail off as I look at her helplessly. Bria surprises me by speaking up quietly. Thank you for listening to me. She pulls her hand away and slowly smiles at me. It is the first honest smile I have seen on her face. I feel something warm at my chest, and then a bright light emanates from my necklace. Oh ho 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 ho! A good deed for listening to Bria, or... I glance down at the bag of journals, then down at my necklace. We need one more piece! I touch the pendant. The new piece brings a brief smile to my lips. I have 2 good deeds now. Only one more and I can break my curse. Magic? Is this another fairy tale curse? Yes. Your name was Lilac, wasn't it? Rumple talked about you fondly. I hope that the both of you break your curses. Good luck. Bria walks away, leaving me by myself in the town square. My mind swirls with everything that she just told me. I still cannot bring myself to like Bria, but I feel more closure now. But now something new plagues my mind. How could I fall in love with someone like Rumple? The more I say it, the more it becomes a certainty, but rather than fill me with joy, it only makes me more confused. I cannot think about this now. I turn on my heels to head back and bump promptly into a man. Ha 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 ha, hello. Oh, sorry, madam. He smiles at me, then keeps walking. I stare after him, feeling slightly uncomfortable. With the mask and cloak, the man reminded me of a performer. I make my way back to the Marchen with the bag of journals, still struggling to keep my mind from wandering. Every time I think about Rumple being so close to me or his kindness toward me, I feel jittery inside. Despite everything that Bria said, I cannot stop these feelings. These feelings are annoying. Yet, even as I think that, I know it's not the full truth. Do I really? I hear the Marchen's door open and out steps Waltz. The minute he sees me, his eyes widen and he runs toward me. Princess, where were you? I was running an errand. I hold up the bag, but it does little to ease Waltz's frustration. We were all looking for you, and we got worried that the witches had found you. Rumple already went out into town. What? I'll go. Please, Princess, stay inside. His expression softens somewhat until all I can see on his face is worry. It's not, off for her to go out on her own, so why all of a sudden is it odd? I would like an explanation, sir. I'll go get Rumple. My mood feels completely dashed as I enter the marchand to whispers both relieved and disappointed. Surprisingly, I get away with just a lecture from Delore and Parfait. It seems as if there is something else on their minds, something that most likely involves the rumor circulating around town. I wait downstairs for a long time for Rumple, but neither him nor Waltz appear. Wait, so you didn't ask why they were worried either? It's weird for it to become a problem all of a sudden, just saying. Where are they? I retire to my room later as I wait for the news. Waltz eventually returns, saying that Rumple is still out because he had things he wanted to do. I have no idea what that means, but it unsettles me. Should I go find him? We were told to stay. But also, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna leave the room because it makes no sense for it to be a problem now. Like, I'm gonna get in trouble, for sure. I stand and stop for a few moments to look at the bag of journals beside my bed, and here I was looking forward to giving those journals to him. I make my way toward the door, turn the knob, and will then walk outside. Princess! Before I can even think about saying anything, I feel his warmth envelop me and I freeze. One of his hands moves to the small of my back where it remains as he smiles down at me. I caught you just in time, my feisty sweet. Did you plan on escaping into the dead of night again? She's blushing. Have words abandoned you in the wake of my dramatic appearance? I hurriedly pry myself away with a little gasp. A few steps back, I can see him in full, and I notice the bouquet he carries. I'm glad to see you back, Princess. I'm only sorry that I couldn't make it back here any faster. I had a few errands of my own to run in town. Rumple held out the bouquet with a glittering smile. Like buying these flowers for the girl that I really like, for instance. I stare down at the beautiful bouquet made up of white lilies, but the appearance slowly leaves my mind as I think of what Rumple just said. He bought them for a girl he likes, not for me. Oh my gosh, but they're white lilies, and he knows that you like white lilies, therefore they're for you. Also, he just hugged you, and he's complimenting you and flirting you. My heart feels as if it might be pierced through with something sharp. My breath escapes my throat, but I cannot bring myself to inhale again. Rumple looks at me in alarm. Lilac. I nudge him out of the way and walk past him. I make my way to the reception area where I collapse onto one of the couches and sit, staring blankly at the walls. The feelings inside of me are too much all at once. I tell myself they do not make any sense and that the way I reacted to what Rumple said was pitiful. And yet, still I cannot stop myself from feeling small. I sink into the couch and close my eyes, willing away the sound of my rapidly beating heart and the tears stinging the edge of my eyes. Why didn't he follow you? I am not weak. I will not cry. Mother told me. But the thought of Mother makes the tears worse, and soon I am sinking even further into the couch, trying to hide my tear-stained face in my hands. Mother. Bria. They both said the same things. They both see the bad in people, and I too have seen the bad in them. When I was on the streets, no one in Angiel showed me kindness. People will never show you kindness unless there is something in it for them. They will never. I feel a sudden warmth as arms wrap around me. I recognize the sensation, the warmth, the comfort. It is also comforting, so soothing. I must be the worst person in the world to make such a beautiful lady cry is a sin that I must atone for. My body stiffens, but I do not pull away. I listen to the sound of his heartbeat against my ear, and slowly but surely my crying dies away. My eyes are sore by the time I finally manage to still the tears. I feel drowsiness descend upon me like a blanket, but I will not fall asleep. Slowly I pry myself from the arms holding me. Hello, my love. Oh, he said my love. Ah! I messed up again, didn't I? I do not see the bouquet in his hands, but a journal. One of the journals I brought back from Bria. For him from Bria. Bria. You're capable of a lot more good than I am, Princess. Just look at this. He reaches out and touches my necklace. I glance down at it. Yeah. You got my journals back for me. I saw them in your room. And I feel it, that this one, the most recently dated one, is the one that I need to unlock my final memory. I grasp the second incomplete glass slip around my neck and breathe out softly. Then this really is from retrieving Rumple's journals for him. I got a good deed for finally doing something good for Rumple. Would you allow me to read it to you? He reaches out and gently brushes a tear from my face. You did all this for me, and you barely know anything about me. That makes both of us. If you wouldn't mind, I want to read out this entry for you. I nod even though I should be shaking my head, even though I should still be hurt. I cannot stay mad at Rumple. On this night, I am a poor man. Everything that is precious to me has been stolen away by the witch. Rumple's voice catches in his throat as he stares at the words. I look over his shoulder at the journal. Which? Was he already cursed when he wrote this? But I have no one to blame but myself. Bria told me before that I would suffer for my selflessness, and so now I find myself here. And now, because of that same selflessness, Bria is sick, and I cannot save her. Oh. There's only one thing left to do. I have wronged Bria in so many ways, and now I will give anything it takes to save her. No matter what price the witch asks, I will pay it. I only hope that Bria can forgive me before she leaves. I will write again when the witch has left. I swear that after today, I will change for good. I will not ask the witch to perform any more miracles. Rumple's finger goes to the page, where he softly touches a single word. His eyes have a glazed look in them that they have before. What? His eyes have that glazed look in them that they have before, and I can tell his memories are snapping back together. For tonight, good night, and may tomorrow be a better morning. I read the last word, a name and a signature. Rumple reads it aloud slowly. Chevalier Dumont. Is it Chevalier or Cavalier? How do you say his name? Your name is Chevalier? He looks up at me, his eyes forlorn, and then, with sadness, he speaks. That's right. It is so strange. It is just a different name, and yet it seems to change him completely. I remember everything now. I was given the Rumpelstiltskin curse because I sacrificed too much. First it was the boy, the one we saw in the market. I struck a deal with a woman to save him, a witch. He mentioned striking a deal with a woman, but a witch? I don't have the ability to heal. None of us do, except for one particular witch who calls herself the Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor? Is something wrong? That name just sounds familiar. The Witch Doctor? It's no wonder I recognized the name, but yes, it was her. She promised she could heal the boy, but for a price. I had to give her a family heirloom, my family's stethoscope. Next was a nobleman. I could not help him, so he lay in his bed dying. The witch visited again, and I gave her what she asked for. What did you give her? My engagement ring. Oh. Bria found out. She told me she'd never forgive me, and then she chased the nobleman to ask for the money we desperately needed, and, well, you know the rest. He gave away things that were precious to him, all to help those people. Then Bria got sick. I made one last deal with the witch because I was desperate to save her life. But it wasn't until after she healed Bria that she told me what she wanted. She wanted your memories. I don't remember what happened exactly. I think I panicked because I suddenly lost my memories. I ran out into alleyways, bumped my head on something, fell unconscious, and then I woke up here in the tavern and I had no idea who I was or how I had gotten cursed. Rumple, Cavalier's expression grows more somber. I deserved to be cursed after everything I had done. I was so selfish. An idealist, maybe, but I hurt Bria because I refused to see reality. I still deserve to be cursed, actually. But why? Because I am still selfish. Even having remembered everything that made me a bad person, I still desire something. Someone I shouldn't have. My heart plummets again as he looks at me. I still want, so badly, to forge a future with someone I don't deserve. Because what am I other than a poor doctor? I'm no knight in shining armor, and I'm no prince. He puts a hand on my cheek and leans closer to me. The distance between us closes in mere seconds. But still, I keep on dreaming because his fingers gently caress my cheek, and suddenly, I know. I know what he is going to say before he even says it. Oh my goodness! I love you, you love me. Why? What? I don't want to. I don't want to. I want to cheat so bad and find the answer and plug it in. What is this? Why? I have to say I love you, or I have to ask him if he loves me? Why? I don't... Oh my goodness. Okay, sure. I love you. Sure. But I'm not... Whether you are Rumple or Chevalier, I'm gonna keep saying his name wrong. You are the same person. You do not need to be a knight or a prince. He accepted me for who I was, and he still does. Mother told me that humans were untrustworthy, but... Chevalier smiles at me as he puts his other hand on my back and pulls me closer. The smile is so genuine and so gentle. The same smile I have grown to love. Ah, they're kissing! Whatever words I had been meaning to say die in my throat as he leans forward and gently places his lips on mine. I feel more grounded than I have ever felt before, but I also feel like I am flying. I set my hands on his chest and flex my fingers into his shirt. He runs his fingers gently down my face, then down the length of my neck. The kiss feels too short, yet I am still breathless when Cavalier pulls away from me just enough so that I can see his eyes. I love you, my sweet princess. Ah, he's blushing. Ashaha. For your smile, for your laugh, for the way that you look out for other people. You're bold and feisty, and you remind me of a firework. You are beautiful, inside and out. The compliment warms my heart in a way that makes me feel like it might be melting. He reaches behind him and holds out the bouquet from earlier. These are for you. You like lilies, don't you? I take the bouquet from him and bring it to my nose. These have always been my favorite flower. How did you know? Cavalier grins at me, and it is so similar to his previous smiles that I know he must not have changed. The first time I gave you that white chocolate flower, your eyes lit up. I figured out that Cavalier was perceptive before, but the bouquet in my hands feels all the more meaningful now. Princess, I swear that I want to try and change. For you. You should do it for yourself too. Myself? You should spoil yourself more too. You always give to others, but don't take for yourself. Now you know what you did, and you can change things. If Bria can, then so can I. Bria? I went and spoke to her when I was in town today, while I was getting the bouquet as a gift for you. We had a talk about moving on. I didn't understand it fully, and I don't think she did either, but we've both agreed that we should. So I'm going to change what I can, Princess. And I promise that I'm going to help you break your curse, just as you helped me break mine. All the good things I've done are for you. That's true. But you've done a lot of other good things too, even if they may not be big enough to count for your 3 good deeds. It just so happens that your curse is very picky. Good things, even though I'm still curt and say more hurtful things than not. I finger the necklace at my neck in thought. Maybe Cavalier is right. Maybe I have changed, and it is a good change. I sit close to Cavalier as the night goes on. He tells me a little about his past, and I tell him about mine. About Mother and the palace. The night is not one for advice, just listening. And I remember that Cavalier told me once that listening can be just as meaningful as advice. That listening to others can help you understand them. And he was right. Princess, are you okay? Oh, if it isn't the princess, are those dark circles under your eyes from a romantic night out? You were out with someone last night? No, they were from being woken up early by Delora to do chores. Delora grins at me from the other side of the bar, but says nothing as she goes back to a conversation with another boarder. Darling, you're no fun at all. You must tell me what happened last night. Last night? Did you like the bouquet? Ah, that was the advice. Aw. How do you know about the bouquet? Why, because it was my suggestion. When Cavalier was asking Karma for advice, it was about me. Look at the way she smiled, Denise. Last night must have gone well. I'm confused. What happened last night? I'm going to get Rumple to give me all the juicy details when he comes downstairs. That is Cavalier to you. Cavalier appears behind him, Karma, smiling. He seems a lot calmer today than usual. He glances over Karma at me, and we catch each other in a silent gaze. Seeing his eyes reminds me of last night, which makes me inadvertently flush. Cavalier just winks at me. Cavalier? What is that? Something you say when a person sneezes? No, that's his name. Rumple, that is. Cavalier broke his curse yesterday. There is stunned silence from everyone in the immediate area. Even Delora walks over to us. What's this about a broken curse? Was it you, Rumple? He's going by something that sounds like a fancy cake. Parfait seems to be bursting with excitement. Though she is her usual calm self on the outside, I can tell by the bounce in her step and by the way she raises her voice to make an announcement that she is proud. When everyone has learned that Cavalier has broken his curse, people come to the table offering drinks and congratulations. Cavalier gets lost in the crowd, mostly of women, but much to my surprise, Cavalier does not flirt back with any of them. And then, in between our celebrations for Cavalier, the front door to the Martian opens and Waltz rushes inside. Where are Delora and Lady Parfait? I need to speak to them immediately. Waltz, you're just in time. Something has happened at the palace. Ah, here we go. It's happening. The room goes quiet as Waltz's proclamation. A few people shift uneasily in their chairs. Some try to go back to conversation. Most people do not care what happens in the palace, but they can tell by the tone of Waltz's voice that it is bad. What happened at the palace? An uprising. Oh dear. What? A coup staged by witches. What? Witches have taken over the palace. What? The information is so sudden it makes me dizzy. I reach out to grab the table and my hand lands on the wood before I can slip. Witches taking over the palace? An army of them? Wait, so it's either the military or witches. Like, why does it change? How does it change between who you choose to romance? Like, do the witches lose power because... Also, what about Fritz? Fritz should be like, where's the princess? And they should be like, there was a princess. I'm confused. I have confusion. Someone explain to me the thing. I'm confused. Why? What happened? What's going on? Explain the thing. No, only a few. Jurian strides across the room, followed quickly by Garland. What's this about witches taking over? We have some of the best knights at the palace. There is no way witches could break in under the palace's guard. Unless they had someone inside helping them. Alcaster? No, Myth. Who are we talking about? You know him as Mithros. He uses a different name now. Sir Mithros, the king's advisor? He's a witch? There's no way Mithros is a witch. We would have known. Glamour. He used a glamour. Everything Walt says suddenly gets swallowed up in questions. Jurian and Garland ask question after question while others start surrounding Walt to ask him what has happened to the king and his children. I try to step closer to listen, but I cannot hear over the frantic voices in the room. Sir Mithros. I never trusted him, but I never thought he would be a witch. The room only quiets down when Delora and Parfait come to punctuate the conversation with their own demands for everyone to give Walt space. The Marchand boarders are all taken into the reception room where Walt stands at attention, waiting to answer questions. He explains that he was looking into a rumor about Sir Mithros from only a few days ago when he found out about the witches' uprising. It was a surprise attack orchestrated by Mithros, who let the witches in through a secret entrance to the palace. Alcaster was killed during the uprising. Many knights were injured and are currently being tended to in clinics and hospitals around the town. After his explanation, I feel even worse than I did in the main room. I stare at Walt at a loss. What of Fritz? Fritz? Sir Alcaster's son, Fitzgerald. He was my personal knight. If Sir Alcaster was killed during the uprising, where did that put Fritz? Was he working with Sir Alcaster or Sir Mithros? Did he escape? I'm sorry, Princess, I haven't heard anything about a knight named Fitzgerald. Was he killed? The thought makes my heart plummet. No, Fritz could not possibly be dead. I have to believe that he is still alive. I feel Cavalier's hand on my shoulder briefly before it slides off. Are any of the king's knights remaining in the palace? If they are, then they've either been forced to turn against the king or they've been killed. Is Mithros sitting on the throne? No, he usurped the king but hasn't taken the throne. Waltz turns to me and his expression softens. Princess, feel free to ask me whatever you want. I'm sorry I didn't answer all of your questions earlier. I have so many questions, but I suppose I will ask them one at a time. What has happened to the king? What is the glamour? Do you know Mithros? Who has claimed the throne? What has happened to the king and the others? I'm not sure. From what I've heard, the king and his family, your family, are still alive. I never cared for any of my stepfamily, but hearing that they're okay is still a relief. Mithros may be keeping them prisoner for now. Do you know Mithros? It was a long time ago. We both shared the same teacher. Teacher? Wait, Waltz, are you a witch? Yeah. He smiles at me, but it is weak and does not reach his eyes. Myth was always very competitive. I thought that he had died at the end of the Great War, but he's been in the palace this whole time. His disguise is so simple. I should have realized his name was so similar, but you couldn't have helped it. That's what the glamour does to you. Maybe if I wasn't cursed, if I had more of my magic, I would have been able to sense him. What is the glamour? Delora steps in to answer the question. A glamour is a high-level magic used to conceal one's identity. It keeps even other witches from sensing you. Parfait cast the same magic on you shortly after you came to the tavern. It was to protect you from the evil witches. Things are happening. Okay. No, still broken? Still dead? Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait. I'm just here, waiting. Are you fixed now? No? Okay, I'll still wait. How about now? Yay! Okay. Glamour can only be conjured by the powerful witches. It sounds as if this witch has been using glamour to hide himself from others. Who has claimed the crown? As of right now, no one. The king's been kicked off of the throne, and Mithras has made a public announcement about usurping the throne, but he does not call himself king. Is he trying to win the throne over for someone? Myth has no one left. He was obsessed with our teacher, but she is gone. Maybe he has a different alliance. Maybe he has different alliances now. Parfait's eyes look distant as she stares dismally down at the ground. If my curse were broken, I would charge in right now and destroy him. Waltz's expression becomes so dark it sends a shiver through me. It isn't like Waltz to look so angry. We need to come up with a plan. Even if you weren't cursed, you would still not be able to defeat Mithras when he has other witches with him. Witches are trickier to handle. Can't just be plunged through with a sword, eh? I agree with Karma. If all of us go in with swords and shields, we should be able to take the palace back. This is what we've been practicing for. Practicing? Even witches will die if you stick a sword through their heart, won't they? But getting to a witch who knows you're there is difficult. I must do something. I want to help. Is there anything I can do to help? I want to help. Cavalier wraps his fingers around my wrist and frowns. Princess. This whole time I've been living at the Marchen. I was spared the fate of the royal family by sheer coincidence because I was cursed. I cannot just sit here and do nothing while the kingdom falls to a witch. It fell to witches before, and there were dire consequences. I cannot continue to be passive. I will not let myself be like my mother. Princess, I am Lilac Riella Britain, the crown prince of Angiel, and I will not stand by and watch when the kingdom is in turmoil. The room goes quiet at my statements. Cavalier's fingers loosen on my hand. I can see a ghost of a smile on his face, though it underlies his sorrow. Spoken like a true princess. Whether or not you want to help, Princess, you really can't. You won't be able to use magic until your 18th birthday. That's when you become the bearer. I cannot let that stop me. I will find a way. The conversations in the room continue for a long while. At some point, it is said that volunteers are needed at the hospitals and clinics for the injured soldiers. Cavalier immediately volunteers. Only afterward does he look at me with regret. Princess, I'm sorry. For what? For putting my job before you. And after all I just said. He told me he was going to try his best to change. Bria called him selfless before for putting his work before her, but you would be a fool not to. My life is not in any danger, and there are people who need you more than I do. Do what you do best, Cavalier. Ah, Princess Lilac. I promise you I will do whatever I can to help you as well. As the meeting disbands, I am left standing there in quiet. The last to leave is Waltz, who promises me that he will make things right. I am going to trust everyone, but I am also not going to stand idle. I will make things right somehow. As is my responsibility as crowned princess. Chapter 9, The Witch Puppet. Why do I feel like this is not a good... another long night. The two of us are on our way back to the Marchen after visiting a clinic in town. We were there for hours, and it is a relief to be out in the open now, where I can feel the wind on my skin. Are you okay, Princess? I know that what you saw must have been difficult. I'm sorry I couldn't shield you from the majority of it. I volunteered to help Cavalier at the clinic part-time, but it is worse than I had expected. Many of the soldiers have severe wounds. I had thought that most of the injuries sustained by the knights during the upheaval were only minor, but I was wrong. Their injuries are much worse. Princess? He reaches out and laces his fingers through mine, then gives me a soft smile as he squeezes my hand. Are you okay? I am fine. It has only been 1 day since the uprising at the palace. I had thought that there would be less blood. I was wrong. Is this what things were like after the Great War? I wasn't a fully certified doctor after the Great War, but I was an assistant. It was far worse than this, Princess. We cannot have a repeat of the Great War. I do not know why Mithros would kill Sir Alcaster and take the throne without claiming the crown, but the witches already have a bad name, and he is making it worse. I cannot help but remember the wide smile Mithros gave me when I was still living in the palace. It's 'cause he wants the crown for you. Every time I felt his eyes on me, I felt there was something strange about him. There was always a cloudiness to his eyes, something unreadable. He was excellent at his job, but always an enigma outside of it. A sudden breeze chills my skin. Let's go back before you freeze out here. The two of us begin our walk back to the Marchen. Thoughts of the palace, the king, and my step-family cloud my mind. Since I have been staying at the Marchen, I have not seen Rod once. I was never sure if it was because he was ignoring me or if it was because he only wanted to speak to Parfait. Regardless, I hope Rod and his family are okay. I would never wish the treatment upon anyone, not even to ones I hated. As we walk, I glance up at Cavalier, whose head is tilted skyward. I catch the glimmer of lights in his eyes and smile. Even for just a moment, I can forget about everything when I am beside him. He has a way of taking the weight off my shoulders. But as the crown princess, I cannot let others carry my burden for me. I must find ways to protect the others, even if it means putting myself in danger or harming someone in order to protect someone else. What do you think is the easiest and fastest way to kill someone? Wow, asking a doctor that. Okay. Cavalier's body goes rigid beside me. He stops to stare at me, wide-eyed. I'm asking just in case I'm ever in danger. I've never fought anyone before. I can retaliate, but I do not know how to actually harm anyone. To kill someone is to end a life. It is stealing away a life that others might love. You bear the burden of that death for the rest of your life. I pull myself away from him. But Mithros is not an innocent man. Would you rather he kill the royal family instead? No, it's not that, princess. I know he must be stopped at any cost. It's just, I would never want you to have to kill someone. How would you know what it was like to kill someone? You have only ever helped people, not hurt them. You saw the soldiers in the clinic today. You saw how close some of them were to death. Did you see the hollow look in their eyes? I have seen that look many times. It is the look of a man who clings desperately to life. Every life is precious. And a life is still a life, whether it's vile or not. It's still a responsibility you have to bear. I know how valuable and fragile lives are because I have helped so many people. We stand quiet for a few moments facing each other. I know I am at an odds with Cavalier. He speaks the truth, but I also know that I speak my own version of the truth too. The world is a place where only the strong survive. People are kind, but will take advantage of those who are too caring. Marie told me that Cavalier was so selfless he became selfish. She told me that he never had anything because he gave everything to others. His kindness has hurt others, and I fear that it has a likely chance to hurt him as well. What if his reluctance to hurt anyone causes him to be the one that is injured? Cavalier suddenly breaks the silence. Most people think that the easiest way to kill a person is to stab them through the heart. Those people would be wrong. He puts his hand over his heart and stares dismally down at the ground. He removes his hand briefly, but only to reach for mine. He takes my hand and settles it on his chest, slightly to the left. I can hear the beating of his heart beneath my palm. It is soft and gentle. What can you feel besides the beating of my heart? The ribs? Yes. In order to stab the heart, you'd have to get through the ribs. That's why most of the soldiers in there who got stabbed in the chest are still alive. If you want to quickly kill someone, you have to stab somewhere where it would be difficult to stem the blood from the wound. Do you have any idea where that might be? The neck? The skin on the neck is thinner, and you have lots of blood flow underneath the skin, going right to your head. It would most likely be easier to slice or pierce something more vulnerable in the neck without running into as much resistance. Cavalier raises an eyebrow. Did you happen to pick that up around the clinic? No, I simply guessed. Then you have a bright mind, princess. Cavalier moves my hand to the side of his neck. Also, what's it matter if he likes my choices or not? The ending has already been chosen. It's already been chosen. Cavalier moves my hand to the side of his neck. My fingers curl slightly when I feel his heartbeat reverberate beneath my fingers. This part is where you can find the jugular vein and the carotid artery. He runs my fingers down the length of it, and I shudder. A mischievous smile brightens his face. Not only does cutting at the neck stop blood from going to the head, but it also makes it spurt. If both the vein and the artery are cut, it only takes a minute to bleed to death. Thus, one of the best ways to kill a person would be through the neck. Why are you telling me all this now? I was just enlightening a new pupil with an anatomy lesson. You asked me a question, and I responded as a teacher. Cavalier's fingers loosen on my hand, and I grasp his hand tighter in response. Princess, I don't want you to have to bear the burden of a murder. I promise that I'll protect you, so you don't have to defend yourself with violence. I can't use a sword or magic, and I don't know how to fight, but I will always be there to protect you. I may not have an abundance of muscles beneath these sleeves, but I am a doctor. No one knows the body better than I, so though it may not be heroic, I know how to hurt a person. His sincere expression, though pained, tells me that he is telling the truth. I do not want Cavalier to hurt a person either. It would destroy everything that he has worked toward as a doctor. He has seen so much suffering, and yet always seems untouched by it. I will do anything I can to protect his positivity. The Marchen was quiet when we returned. Everyone had already disappeared into their rooms, and so I went straight to mine. I also forced Cavalier to go back to his. He has been on his feet all day, and he needs the rest. I plopped down onto my bed as soon as we returned home. I glanced briefly at I plopped down onto my bed as soon as we returned home. I glanced briefly to the side where Cavalier's bouquet is in the vase Parfait had given to me. Who is it? Parfait. Come in. You've returned. Parfait looks paler than normal. I realized with a start that Cavalier did not tend to her at all today. Don't look at me like that. I'm fine. How are the soldiers at the clinic? Not good. Many of them have been gravely wounded. Some have said they remembered magic. Others say they do not remember anything at all. A shadow falls over Parfait's expression as she sighs. So the circumstances are direr than we thought. It is a good thing Cavalier is there to lend a helping hand. Did you all manage to come up with a plan? It's proving more difficult than we anticipated. Delora and I are willing to put ourselves in danger. Waltz is too, because we can use magic to a certain extent. The knights in Karma have their blades. But Cavalier, I do not want to involve him in this, because you're worried about him. Of course I am. You've grown, Princess. You remind me of a younger Hildur. Back then, Hildur was both calm and resilient. One moment she could be smiling ear to ear, the next she could be strict and unmovable as the coldest ice. The two of us were like sisters. We did so much together. We learned together. We explored the kingdom together. I can say with all certainty that we were the best of friends. And then the fairy tales happened. When Hildur killed the first human, she was corrupted. Her darkness swallowed her whole. I do not remember a time before Mother was corrupted, and so I cannot imagine the woman Parfait describes. I know the old Hildur would have wanted to show you the beauty in things, Princess. She would not want you to suffer. I'm sorry you became so embroiled in things. It was inevitable. If Delora hadn't cursed me, then I would still be in the palace, and I would be just as helpless as everyone else. So while I am out here, I have the responsibility to help everyone. I touched the incomplete glass slipper at my neck. I still haven't done 3 good deeds. Don't look so sad. You'll complete your good deeds, and things will go back to normal. And of course, you'll still have friends here when you return. And come your 18th birthday, Delora and I will teach you about magic. Waltz is here to help too. But for now, our top priority is the plan. Rest easy, Princess. Things will work out. It is hard to believe that this problem could be so easily solved, but I will try to believe. When Parfait leaves, I am left to my own thoughts. I hope everyone at the palace is okay and that they can hold on until we come up with our plan, but I feel like we are already running out of time. You guys are kind of moving pretty slow. Days go by and I find myself assisting Cavalier at times. Other times I might remain at the Marchand to help conceptualize a plan. None of our plans have actually shown any promise yet, but with all of our minds put together, we should be able to come up with something. A week later, I find myself standing outside the clinic door waiting for Cavalier. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Princess. You can drop the title, you know. Lilac. But you are a princess in my eyes. Yes, but you do not need to address me by my title. Just my name is fine. Cavalier reaches out to take my hand, then immediately pulls his hand back, eyes wide. Ah, I forgot it. Forgot what? The medicine that I needed for Parfait. Give me a moment, Lilac. Cavalier plants a quick kiss on my forehead before running inside. That's cute. I stare at the stars as I wait. I turn but see no one walking around the plaza. I inch closer toward the door of the clinic as I take another look around. Boo. I suddenly see the silhouette of a man. He takes a few more steps toward me and then stops in front of me. I recognize him immediately. His appearance left quite an impression on me last time. Why is he wearing a mask? Like, people already know who he is, so what's the point of it? Out at night by yourself? Certainly you know that wolves prowl these streets at night. What do you want? I take a step back and press myself to the door. I reach for the door handle, but the man reaches out a hand to grab my wrist, holding it to the door. I'd say my answer to that question is complicated, Princess. By the expression on your face, I must have hit the nail right on the head, eh? You are the princess. How do you know who I am? That is part of the mystery, isn't it? I attempt to wrestle my wrist out of his fingers. Come with me quietly, and you won't get hurt. Maybe it's not the end. Maybe there's more. But, scream for help? I refuse to go anywhere with him. I open my mouth to scream, but before I can even breathe, the man's hand glides to my mouth. You're her disobedient one, aren't you? I struggle against his grasp. It does not take long for the grin to fall from his face. It is replaced with a look that lacks any amusement. I enjoy seeing you struggle, but I'm afraid we've been out here for too long. I bang my shoulder against the door, and a resounding creak follows my attempt. No more Mr. Nice Guy. The man opens a small vial right in front of my face. Something sweet wafts in the air, and I suddenly feel myself falling into darkness as I collapse. Where am I? I glance around me. My room. I look around cautiously, checking to see if anything in my room is different. The last time I was here was before I was cursed. How is it that this room is the same? Sleeping Beauty has awoken. I move to stand up before realizing that my legs are numb. Shame to see you so easily tamed, Princess, and here I thought you would be fun. You're kind of creepy. I glance up to look at the man who is now standing right at my bedside. How do you know who I am? Are you a witch? A witch? Me? Ha! He bursts into laughter. I would rip the witches to... I would rip the witches... Rip? Whip? I would rip the witches to shreds if I could. If he could, then... You are cursed? The man simply smirks at me, but says nothing in response. He brushes the words aside with a gesture of his hand. Are you working for Mithros? Probably. I glare at his vague answer. My name is Varg, and I have been assigned to be your personal knight. Wait, is he, Fitzgerald? Is he Fritz, but, like, evil? Because I'm pretty sure he has the Red Riding Hood curse, because in the opening there's, like, a hood. So, like, is he, like, the wolf and Red Riding Hood at the same time? I'm, like, is that what this is? Is that why he has a mask? No, because in the other one, Fritz died. And wasn't Varg there? I'm confused. I have questions. I already have a personal knight. Oh, you mean Fritz? I got rid of him. You. No playing with the Queen's daughter, Varg. There's Mithros. Okay, so yeah, then this is definitely... What's his face? Maybe. Possibly. I don't remember. Mithros enters the room. Now he stands at the doorway, eyeing the both of us with a smile that is so oddly reminiscent of his usual one that it makes me sick. I mean, his cane does have a wolf on it, so... Mithros. Princess, you look more and more like your mother every day. Why, the scowl on your face is almost a perfect reflection. He moves to stand in front of me. At the same time, Varg begins to take slow and careful footsteps to the edge of my room. What have you done with everyone? Inconsequential or consequential? What? Mithros clicks his tongue impatiently. Inconsequential or consequential people. I narrow my eyes at him. I have no idea who he defines inconsequential or consequential. Where are the king and the rest of the family? Where is Fritz? Were you the one who killed Sir Alcaster? Ah, inconsequential and consequential then. Blah, blah, blah. To start, your knight is gone, Princess. I replaced him with Varg here. And Alcaster. Well, we had a common cause at first. We both wanted the crown. Sir Alcaster was also betraying the king? But Alcaster was a brute. He wanted to needlessly kill the royal family and steal the crown for himself. At first I thought he was calm and calculating, but it turns out that he was just a power-hungry fool. Though I did want to take the crown, I wanted to avoid the bloodshed of certain more important people. Mithros smiles at me. It is a look that makes my blood run cold. So I disposed of him and the rest of his knights. Oh, but don't worry, Princess. I assure you that your family is resting in their rooms, just like you are resting in yours. What? Do not worry, you will see them shortly for dinner. I have my doubts about Mithros' story, but if what he said was true, then Sir Alcaster wanted to kill the royal family, and Mithros saved them. But then he decimated the knights and took the royal family hostage? Why would he do such a thing? They're prisoners, then. Prisoners in their own home? Nonsense. We're all just waiting the Queen's return together. The Queen? Slowly I feel pieces beginning to fit together. The Queen. He cannot be talking about Ophelia. Delora, do you think witches are capable of bringing back the dead? Mother is dead. Is she really? You can bring Mother back from the dead? We can, Princess. We? The Queen has been resting for a long time, waiting for you to gain your power so that you can help her escape her prison. You are not making any sense. I struggle to keep my words from faltering. How is Mother alive? And what does he mean by prison? The Tenebr Arm is the Queen's prison. It is linked to the Queen's power. Though others presumed she was dead, the Queen sealed the last of her power inside the crystal. All she requires is your power, Princess. My power. When you become the next bearer, you will have the ability to release the Queen from her prison. My birthday is in a week. That is when I am meant to take the responsibilities of becoming the bear. The Parfait and Delora never went into more detail beyond that. You'll finally get to see your mother again, Princess. I still cannot quite take in everything he has just said. However, if Mithras had approached me before the curse, I would have helped Mother in a heartbeat. But it was Mother who was the last Tenebron bearer and the one who brought darkness to NGL. I once believed that Mother was the only person to ever love me. Now I know that I was wrong, that she shut me in from a world that I should have known. But still, even now I wish she was here. I take a deep breath. But I cannot afford to be selfish. I cannot put anyone else in danger. I will not help you. You don't have a choice, Princess. I have set the stage for my queen's return. All that's left is to free her from her cage. We will speak more of this at the dining table. Mithras leaves the room, leaving me briefly with Varg. Varg smiles at me beneath his mask, then brings his index finger to the temple of his head and loops it. He mouths the word crazy. You said you would tear witches apart, so why do you serve Mithras? A good question. You're not going to answer me. How perceptive of you, Princess. I like Varg. He smirks at me before following Mithras out the door. I am once again left by myself in the room. Everything Mithras just told me swirls through my mind. My mother, alive, and he killed everyone only to take the crown and keep it for her. A shudder runs through my body. She cannot return. I spend the next hour looking around my room for things that might aid my escape. Do you have a window, perhaps? I know where everyone else's rooms are too, but I have no idea how heavily guarded they are, and I doubt I could call them for help. I must return to the Marchand. I test the window, but it is locked. Probably with magic. I search my shelves. Dolls that used to comfort me can do nothing for me now. Last, I checked my drawers, but though there are many things in them, there is nothing that looks like it could help me escape. As I am searching, I come across the box and pause to pick it up. Okay. I remember this. It was given to me by my mother, with strict instructions not to open it, and always keep the key hidden. I search the drawer again for the key. The moment I begin to set the box down, I see a small golden key at the bottom of the drawer. I pick it up and am about to open the box when I stop. This is hardly a priority right now. I mean, there could be something inside that can help you, so why not? I set the key down next to the box. I should be searching for a way to escape. I turn to see Varg's smiling face at the door. That is creepy. You look like a criminal who's just been caught doing something naughty, says the criminal himself. Maybe we're meant for each other. I narrow my eyes as he approaches. Behind his back, I can make out the open door. Don't even think about it. You don't want me to pounce on you in the hallways, do you? That would be unpleasant. That is kind of hot, actually, the way that you're talking. Like, can I date him? Is he an option? Like, just, like... I guess I'll wait and find out. Varg grabs my wrist. I attempt to struggle free, but he holds tight to me. I will be your escort to dinner tonight. I have a thing for villains. It's a problem. I keep my head held high as Varg escorts me from the room. On the way to the dining hall, I glimpse the rest of the palace. It is mostly empty save for a few soldiers. The soldiers that do not stand there have a glazed look in their eyes and look right through me. Puppets. A spell cast by Mithras? Varg does not answer me as he pulls me through the hallway. Soon I find myself in the dining hall. The guards usually standing by the walls are gone. Now there is only the royal family, and they seem to be unharmed. You? I can see recognition in the king's eyes. My heart flutters as he stands, or tries to. He manages to rise, but only just barely. I notice that his feet stay firmly planted where they are. Everyone's bodies look exceptionally stiff. Is this some kind of spell? You are the girl that was outside my palace a month ago. Mithras, what is the meaning of this? I notice that the king is not the head of the table as usual. Everyone sits on the table sides except for Mithras, who's at the far end. The king's seat, however, is clear. I simply brought back the crown princess. You should be thanking me, Gennaro. I reunited you with your daughter. My daughter? The king raises an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. I can see in his eyes that he is loath to trust anything Mithras has to say. The king slumps in his chair as Varg leads me to a seat just beside Rod. I notice Emmeline sitting just to Rod's side. She forces a smile onto her face, but I can see tears gathering in her eyes. Allow me to offer a more formal introduction for our guest, even though you all know her. Her name is Lilac Riella Britton, and she is the crown princess of Angiel. And your blood daughter, Gennaro. The king looks at me again. This time there is more uncertainty in his gaze. Prince Rod will tell you, won't he? Rod? Rod looks at me, his gaze quiet but expectant. I turned to the king and to the rest of my stepfamily. It's nice to meet you. I am indeed the crown princess. Ugh! Why is this an option? Why? Why? Just why? I am indeed the crown princess. This is my chance to prove to them that I am the princess. The king never believed me before, but here I can convince him. I am indeed the crown princess, Lilac Riella Britain. I told you before, your majesty, but I was cursed and you did not believe me. Now no one remembers who I am. I would remember my own daughter. I flinch. A pained look comes onto the king's face as he stares at me. Mithras is smiling slyly at the end of the table, looking pleased by the further confusion I have caused. Is his purpose to only confuse everyone further? What kind of mind game is he playing? Gennaro, she is Undella, your daughter. That is why she is in the room that you have been taking care of. What? The king's eyes widen. He looks at a loss for words. Princess, the king has been keeping your room clean and tidy for the sake of nostalgia, and he has no idea why. Magic works in interesting ways, doesn't it? I was wondering why my room was unchanged, but could it be that the king remembers me somehow? I look up at him, but he has already glanced away from me. His expression is a complicated twist of confusion and helplessness. It seems that even the king does not fully understand. I turn to Mithras. It can work in both good and bad ways. Ah yes, the fairy tale curse is terrible, isn't it? I catch Varg's eyes from the side of the room. He glances away from me, and I follow his gaze to the corners of the room. I hadn't noticed them before, but now I see cloaked figures hiding in the shadows. Witches. They must be the ones holding everyone in place if they are to try and escape. But not all magic is terrible, like the magic we will use to revive the queen. You are insane. Hilda is mad. You have no right to refer to her by name. I mean, they weren't married, so... A sudden chill envelops the room. I can feel actual icicles on the table. I pull my hands away. Now, we are going to eat dinner, and we are going to enjoy it. And every day will be just like this until the queen returns. Rod glares across the table at Mithras. Why? Why would we not enjoy dinner together? That's not what I meant. Why go through this charade day after day? I stare across the table at Mithras, glaring. I already told you before I had to clear this place of traitors. Alcaster planned on stealing the crown and I stole it back. But because the time of the queen's revival is so close, I've decided to keep the crown with me until I can return it to its appropriate owner. Queen Hilda is the true owner of the crown. I thought it best that we all wait out her arrival together. But know this, when my queen demands it, I will kill all of you. I simply refuse to act without her orders. This time, guards come into the room with food. They set it before us, and we are forced to eat beneath Mithras's watchful gaze. Though I try to spot an opening in the dining hall, I can find no way out. This really is a prison. 2 days pass. I have been searching for ways out and tried to ease more answers out of Varg and Mithras. Neither of them is very forthcoming. Both enjoy speaking in riddles. Varg especially is an enigma. Whenever I try to ask him about Fritz, he smirks at me and remains silent. What, not going to try asking me any questions tonight? I'm not going to get any answers from Varg, and it is almost my birthday. I need to find a way out of here. I'm disappointed. You're the only fun I have in here, princess. Maybe if I'm quiet, he will leave me alone. If you're just going to be quiet and sulk, I guess I should be going. Remember, don't try anything funny. There are knights just outside your door. Varg bows mockingly. He leans down to pat me on the head before he turns and leaves. I cannot give up. I once again begin my search through the room. Time is running out, and there is nothing that I can do besides search for a way out. But I know that if I leave the room, the knights will catch me immediately. If I had a weapon, I might stand a chance. I put my fingers to my neck and remember what Cavalier told me about it. Sleep. Damn. The sound comes from outside my door. It is a woman's voice. The door opens and suddenly Cavalier and Delora are both in my room. Princess! I am startled to see Cavalier standing before me, his eyebrows drawn over his eyes with great worry, and beside him stands Delora with her arms crossed. Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? We're here to stage a daring rescue. I rush to Cavalier and wrap my arms around him. He puts a hand on the small of my back and smiles down at me. We're going to get you out of here, princess. How did you both get in here? With the power of magic. Dramatic, even at a time like this. The two exchange a look before looking at me seriously. Parfait, Waltz, the knights, and Karma are all here. We thought we'd just be fighting witches, though. We weren't expecting the knights. No matter what we said, we couldn't get through to them. They're under a spell. Mithras. He wants to release Mother. Both of them look at me with confusion. I need water. I need more water than that, but I'm not moving. What? Mother is still alive, just inside the Tenebra arm. Mithras wants to bring her back. That is impossible. The queen is still alive? Kivli looks worried while Dolores' expression is more rigid and resolute. We cannot let that happen. I don't know how the queen would be alive in the first place, but... Well, we'll worry about that later. Right, we have time later to discuss the specifics of everything, but right now we need to get out of here. Right, everyone is keeping the guards and witches busy for you, princess. I'll distract Mithras. Cavalier, I'm counting on you to get the princess to safety. That's why I'm here, princess. Can you guide me through the palace? I cannot just leave everyone here. Don't worry, Garland is seeing to saving your family. No, I cannot just leave everyone in the Marsh End here to do things for me. Lilac, we cannot afford to lose you. I told you I would do anything to protect you, and I will. The sooner you're safer, the sooner we'll have the advantage. You are the legitimate heir to the throne and the next Tenebra arm bearer. You cannot let yourself remain in Mithras' hands. The situation is indeed most dire, so for now we must hurry. I nod my head feebly. Without another word, the three of us head toward the door. Delora exits first and stops immediately. I almost run into her. I glance through the doorway and see Varg waiting just outside, holding a blade across Delora's neck. Delora, no! Okay, cool. Magic. Delora holds up her hand and deflects the sword as it slides harmlessly past her neck. Varg slides away, still holding out his sword. His usual smirk is half-hearted at best. Get out of our way. You're awfully demanding, aren't you? Pretty please? Oh my gosh, I love it. No can do, my lady. Shame. Looks like I'll have to destroy that pretty mask of yours along with everything else underneath. I want to see this battle animated. Somebody send me a battle clip animated. Delora holds up her hand and summons a wall of electric orbs. With a flick of her wrist, she sends them rushing toward Varg, who dodges with surprising speed. Varg's movements appear sluggish, but I have seen his fast reflexes. He is playing with Delora, even though I do not think he has the advantage. He drops the sword, and for a few moments I feel Delora has the advantage. Then, suddenly, he raises the cane he usually holds at his side and taps it on the ground. What? A burst of smoke escapes from the bottom of it, shrouding the room. An enchanted cane? You're not the only one with tricks up your sleeve. Delora! Cavalier, get her out of here! Let's go, princess. Cavalier takes my hand in his and begins to lead me away. I turn to glance back at Delora and Varg and realize that while Delora is completely on the offensive, Varg does nothing but dodge. It is as if he is trying to buy time for something. I banish the thought from my head as Cavalier pulls me down the hall. How rude! Haven't you heard of chivalry? I spot Karma still in his dress, holding a sword out at the man in front of him. When the man lunges, Karma dodges back and grunts as his back comes to the wall. I suppose chivalry is dead, then. He steps off to the side as the possessed knight attacks him with his blade. The sword catches his dress, but does not hinder him from stepping forward and aiming a jab with his sword beneath the knight's armor. The knight kneels, but the sword does not fall from his hand. Karma looks up at us sharply. What are you doing just standing there? Move! It takes me a moment to realize that just as I was frozen, so too was Cavalier. His face is pale as he grabs my hand again and once again starts rushing me down the hall to the other end of the hall. Bleh? Cavalier's steps are wider than mine and I have to struggle to keep up. But the further we go down the hallway, the more apparent it becomes that there are too many obstacles in the way. We pass Jurian and Garland as we move too, and they manage to clear a path for us. These knights, will they not stop moving until Mithras is defeated? I hope the king and everyone else is safe. As we pass Jurian and Garland, I tell them where the royal family is, but I have no way of knowing if the words reach their ears amidst all of the sound. Cavalier? So the stab wounds in the armor that I saw earlier were from the knights themselves, but why would they battle each other? What? The punctures in the armor that we saw at the clinic, the stab wounds in the gut and at the arms. Cavalier's eyes are so distant, it's as if he's looking right through me. We need to keep moving. I take his hand and lead him forward. They were fighting each other. I do not know what he is talking about, but we can talk about this later. Right now we have to escape. We are closer to the palace entrance when we see them. A group of knights stand in two lines on both sides of the hall, facing each other. At the far end of the hallway stands a gaggle of witches, and in between them, Mithras. Good evening. Did you enjoy your stroll around the palace? Cavalier immediately moves to stand in front of me. The cloudiness is gone from his eyes. But what leaves his mouth is not a demand, but a question. How could you do this? How? It was quite easy, actually. You know what I mean. Why would you make the knights fight one another? What a foolish question. Obviously it was because they are inconsequential. On a stage, some pawns exist as easily replaceable extras. I am interested in keeping only the actors. In the grand scheme of things, the extras aren't needed. In fact, I can make them do whatever I need in order to get the best outcome. He snaps his fingers, and the knights raise their swords. I tense, thinking that the knights are going to turn to us, but they never do. Here's an interlude for you to enjoy. Oh, jeez. The knights are attacking each other? The sound of metal ringing against metal fills the air. The knights' swords arch, dive, and stab. Mithros watches from behind them, with the sly smile never leaving his lips. The two of us can only stand there stunned into silence. It isn't long before we can see red. Oh dear. The smell of blood begins to linger in the air as swords cut through flesh. Blech. Abruptly, I snap to my senses. I attempt to move forward, but Cavalier remains firmly grounded. Cavalier. I heard many things about the doctor working at the clinics. I heard that he was a volunteer who had assisted in helping the injured during the Great War. I also heard that, until just recently, he had been cursed. I knew immediately upon seeing you that you were that volunteer. I suppose it is unavoidable that you and the princess know each other, but to think you would be so close. Cavalier just stares blankly ahead. He looks almost like he is under a spell. His eyes are glazed. I continue to call his name. His eyes follow the sword movements of the knights, and he does not even spare me a glance. Have I unraveled the doctor? Unraveled. Yep! I got the bad ending, and this is where the bad ending is. You know what? We're going to end it here. When we get back, I'll give you this bad ending, and we'll zoom through and get the good ending. So that'll be a short one, won't it? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, whatever. At least now I get to see what the bad ending is. Do I get to date Varg? No. Does the queen revive? Do we get to see what the queen looks like? Like, is there going to be an after image of, like, the queen? Or is it going to be, like, Karma's ending where it was just bad ending and you don't actually get an imagery of anything? I guess we'll find out. Thank you all for watching my misery. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your morning, evening, and afternoon. That was out of order, but you're used to this by now. Okay, bye!